Gilman, who is about to speak on our stage, and you're in for a treat. So I don't want to delay anymore because Diane is an absolute legend. I just sent her a message to say I am so absolutely honored to have her on our stage, and I'm so proud to present our wonderful speaker and author, Diane Gilman. Hello and welcome.
I was to such competitive careers, television and fashion, that nobody ever tells you anything like that. All they say is, well, okay, you did good now, but what's your next show going to be? It's always about topping yourself. So thank you very much for that introduction.
Oh, Diane, I still have to do your official introduction. But before we even do that, what a joy it has been to work with you. And
Oh, Ray.
jokingly, we say on our calls, well, before we begin our call, we gotta have Diane show because she's absolutely legendary and her beautiful personality just comes out without apology, and she entertained us in the last 6 months. She endlessly gave us laughs and entertainment without perhaps even meaning to do so.
Yeah,
So it's an
true.
absolute treat to have you here today. What can we expect during your talk?
I'm going to talk a little about something that I think touches all women, but I'm going to do it in a way that I believe our audience isn't used to. I'm going to give great respect to breast cancer. It wasn't my enemy. I wasn't a warrior. I did what I had to do, and I turned out discovering a whole new self, a self that was much higher in vibration, a self that showed much more compassion and empathy to the world, and truly set me up to live my third act with much more purpose and grace. When I look back on having breast cancer, which I was diagnosed with Christmas Eve, picked a really great day for that, 2017, I turned myself into a whole different person. I knew I had to. And that is as profound a journey when you are given a death sentence and you really want to live as you can get. And then being an author, I have two books out. Good Genes, written in 2013, because I am the queen of genes on QVC and HSN, tele-retail. And then Too Young to Be Old, which was written right after I finished treatment. This was different. I didn't have a co-author. I didn't have a ghostwriter. And, very much like television, where even though I complained about it all the time, I had a host with me on TV. I didn't have that camera all to myself and have to create a rhythm and a purpose and a story to every show. Suddenly, I was on my own. And even though I was within your community, I had to come up with the words, translate those with feeling onto a page. That was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. And for me, I've lived my whole life from my creative self with fashion design and then understanding how to be in front of a television camera, which I was for 30 years. It it was incredible to know at the age of 78 that I actually had another talent that I loved as much as fashion design and TV, and that was authorship. Thank you so much for giving that to me. I mean, it is so life enriching. On the other hand, that was a good side. I think I had taken breast cancer and the treatment and the whole scary thing of being mortal rather than immortal. And I put that into a container and shoved it way back into my brain. I never cried. I never complained. I took it like a soldier. But having to go back and write about it honestly, because Ray and her team will tell you, it's a go back, kind of redo it, get a little deeper. And I think I felt it all for the first time, and it was profound. And then the first time I ever cried about it was maybe about 8 weeks ago, when I just happened to have cable TV on, and out comes Kate Middleton, Princess Kate, announces she has cancer, wearing jeans, which I thought was incredible, connecting to the real woman. And I thought, and this is why we named my chapter Princess to Pauper, I thought, wow, cancer is a great equalizer. It doesn't care if you're a princess or somebody homeless living in a shelter. It's an equal opportunity destroyer. And somewhere in our lives, we will all have to face it to one degree or another in our lifetime. And it's good, I think, when you can read an honest evaluation of how you can turn darkness into light and tragedy into triumph, to know that for me, and I know this sounds so crazy, but it's true, cancer, I needed to go through it. In order to live, let's say to be 100, I'm 78 now, and truly make the most out of the most precious years of your life, you need to understand how much you must appreciate life. And you never appreciate anything unless it's almost taken away from you. And so I think that my value to this book is taking something that nobody would sign up for, having breast cancer, and nobody would say, gee, I really want that. How can I get it? And demystifying it, making it into something that you can work with and actually use to your advantage. And I would never have understood that before I went through it. But now when I look back on it, I never look back on it with darkness or fear. And so much of what I felt and how I grew through that experience came through writing this chapter. And I have to say, I think I have a unique writing style that is perhaps more conversational than it is as a writer, because I spoke and sold my fashions for a living for 30 years on TV. But I hope I really touch the hearts of every woman. And you see that if you are confronted with something so scary and so much bigger than you, that yes, you can rise to be your best self and put it into perspective and use it as a tool to living a better life after the drama is over.
I love that. Diane, well, we have not even officially introduced you yet, but that's what I mean. Diane, this is Diane's show. So welcome. Before we begin, and before I do an official introduction, I would love to play a video, and with Diane's permission, I'm sure you know what video I'm going to
Of
play,
course.
Diane.
Yes.
With your permission, I would love to take you a few years back when Diane was working still on TV and in fashion, and just listen to her incredible story here.
I was just one of those people born to do something.
Be yourself always.
I had to pursue my dreams. I dressed Jimi Hendrix, I dressed Janis Joplin. I was part of that milieu and that world, and it was all about ripped jeans and hand-painted jeans and tattered jeans. There were no rules back then. We smashed every rule and rewrote it. Everything great that happened to me and every real dream that came true for me came after the age of 60. I've truly traveled a road less traveled. I went out on a quest for a gene that would fit, and when I realized that I was way past the age that the rest of my industry thought was appropriate to wear jeans, I thought to myself, this is stupid. I'm a baby boomer. We invented the fashion gene in the 60s. What do you mean you're turning your back on me? And then I said, ding dong, light bulb moment. You're a designer, Diane. You dressed every rock and roll great in jeans. Design a gene for you. When I got my first chance to sell it on HSN on air, I thought, who is going to be up at 5 a.m. and who is going to buy a jean they can't feel or touch or try on? And 5,000 women did in 3 minutes. And I thought, wow, I've really got something here. You make your dreams come true. Never give up, never give in, and it's never too late. I followed my own beat. I believed in myself, and I just knew this idea was going to make it.
Then
That's beautiful.
I love it. I can't stop playing it because I absolutely love it. You are such an inspirational woman, truly. And I think I had somewhere your bio, and now I think I don't have any more in front of me.
That's okay.
But Diane
You have
takes
me.
no introduction because she's an absolute legend. 3 times author now, an absolute legend in the fashion world. And I'm so honored and grateful to have you here. So Diane, over to you for your talk.
Okay, well, part of my title is Dare to Dream. And I think that when I signed up to do this book, the most difficult part of it, honestly, was I had had such a challenging life. People always read my autobiography and they go, my God, you are so resilient. Where did you get your resilience? I think you're born with it. I think it comes out of a need to survive. So when I was given a chapter to do, it was, which challenging moment of my life shall I go for? So I went for the one that was closest to my heart, really. And that was something I would say was the pivotal moment in my life. 30 years ago, my husband passed away from cancer. And so that was the biggest fear in my life. And somewhere in some people's lives, they're going to face their greatest fear. That was not really something I wanted to do. I felt like, wow, I have fought so hard to have a career as a woman born in 1945, as a little girl who said, no, I don't want to play with baby dolls. I want to dress them. I don't necessarily want to get married. I want to be a career woman. Ooh, not good answers. There wasn't even the word career woman in the 40s. And yet somehow I was somebody born with a destiny I recognized, but had no support to achieve. I had to leave home as a teenager because there was just too much strife over, you're going to get married, you're going to have children, that is going to be your life. And I thought, not if I have anything to do with it. It wasn't that it was a bad destiny, it just wasn't my destiny. So the 60s hit, and wow. And here I was, went to UCLA. My best friend, who was her boyfriend, oh, nobody important, just Jim Morrison from The Doors. And my other best friend, who was she going out with? Nobody really, just Steven Spielberg, who wasn't even going to UCLA, but just sort of sitting in on classes. So I met a circle of celebrities, and I always thought, I don't want to dress like my mother. I remember as a kid, my mother, you dressed like the first lady, and it was Mamie Eisenhower. And my mother would take a hot roller and put it on the stove every morning and heat it up and give me these real tight Mamie Eisenhower bangs. And I would go to school every day, run into the ladies' room, wet down my whole head to get rid of that. So when the 60s hit, it was like, oh, freedom. Women had never worn denim. Oh no, maybe if you had a ranch in New Mexico or something, but otherwise, no, you were in high heels, a skirt, a little apron, like all those ads that they did for, a Frigidaire refrigerator, and it was a perfect housewife. And I was suddenly surrounded by rock stars. I met Cher, she was buying clothes from me, and Margaret buying clothes from me. Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane. I mean, I led a rock and roll life. Then at a certain point, I thought, yeah, you know what? You're about 25 now. Maybe it's time to be an adult. The party could just be winding down. I came to New York. I got discovered by Bloomingdale's, and my career started. None of it was easy. I had no family support. I had no financial support. I held down 2 jobs just to go home every night and sell my little fashion collection, which Bloomingdale's bought, and that started me off. And then at some point in the late 80s, when department stores were king, I had the windows of every department store in New York City. I think for the last 2 weeks of March for Spring Fashion Week. I had come a long way. Somebody very big contacted me, went into business with them, introduced washable silk to America. And then through a lawsuit for not getting paid correctly, I got a phone call one day. And this is my whole life was like this. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in this lawsuit. I can't use my label. I can't use my name. What am I going to do? Hello? Is this Diane Gilman? And I'm thinking, do I say yes or no? I said yes. Hi, this is QVC. I'd like to have you design collections for us and be on air. And I thought, I've never been on television. I don't even like my image in a photograph. Do I want to do this? Well, yeah, I did. And so I took my washable silk that I was famous for, transferred it to tele-retail, and that was the beginning of a whole new life. And I learned how to be in front of a TV camera. I learned how to sell my own product. Went on, and as you saw in that video, which was the intro, at about 58 years old, having lost my husband, having become middle-aged, gone through that change, we all do, couldn't find a jean, and I was the original rock and roll baby, the original blue jean baby. Designed one for myself, took all my measurements, sewed it myself, and then introduced it to the world, and again changed my life. So I'm cruising along, and I'm number one, and I go to QVC and I go say, I want to be on every QVC in the world, in Europe, to begin with, and start in the UK. And this is all good, and I'm killing myself. I'm literally making sometimes 3 round trips to Europe per month to be on air, and no one wants a substitute. Something is wrong. And I can feel it in my left breast. And I said, oh, I'm not going to think about it. I'm like Scarlett O'Hara. I'll think about it tomorrow. And I said, no, this couldn't possibly happen to me. Fate could not do this to me. I worked so hard. I didn't even reach my big moment in my career that I love so much until I'm 60. I've only had 12 years of huge success. Come on, I got to keep going. And I couldn't. And I went in Christmas Eve, because here's me. I was on television in Italy, Milan, until the day of Christmas Eve. I fly home, I go straight to an imaging center, and here's what I get. I'm sitting in a dark, dusty little room getting a sonogram. I wait forever. Woman comes in and says, I bet you wonder why you had to wait so long. And I thought, yeah, who are you? And she said, well, here's why. Because it's hopeless. You have cancer everywhere, and nobody wanted to tell you. So I was left to tell you, and I couldn't. And I thought, excuse me, could you say that again, please? Bottom line, I couldn't believe it. I felt like I fought so hard all my life for everything I ever got. How could this happen to me? This couldn't be my karma. So, through luck, I got to a fantastic place called the Dubin Breast Cancer Center in Mount Sinai in New York. Coincidentally, I had just moved into a beautiful penthouse 5 blocks away from Dubin. So it was obviously meant to be. And now I get my first glimmer of hope. So I met Dr. Alyssa Port, the #1 breast cancer surgeon in America. It was just purely good luck. And she said, looked at me up and down and she said, you look like a perfectly healthy woman with a localized disease and a part of your body you don't need if we have to take it away. And I thought, okay, I just met somebody who speaks my language. I went home and I had to fly down, say goodbye to my audience, tell them I had a second job now, saving my life, and I'd be back in about a year. Please don't forget me. Please pray for me. And I was alone. And I think at a lot of those big moments in life where you're facing your mortality, which is such a huge moment, even if you have people around you, you're alone. And I thought, okay, but I thought differently maybe from other people. And I thought, okay, nobody loves an upset, nasty, bitter old woman. I don't want to be that. I'm going to, because I have no family, I only have an extended family of my fans and my friends. I'm going to have to be my better self, my best self. I want to be a ray of sunshine. I want those nurses and those doctors to look at their addendum for the day and say, oh, Diane's coming in. Oh my God, I love that woman. I want her the best for her. I needed that support. And I think that when I got the diagnosis, I just rose above it. It was one of those moments where you're not even in your body anymore. You're way up on the ceiling looking down. And I thought, okay, how am I going to approach this? So I said, all right, you're going to have treatment for the next year. But you're 72. You'll be 73, hopefully, when it's over with. Those odds aren't so bad. You've had 72 years of never even being in a hospital overnight. So I encapsulated my challenge. I put it someplace where I knew it was, but wasn't really going to go there. And I became a different person. And in my chapter, which is Princess to Pauper, I tell a story of what I used to be, which was very judgmental. I mean, you're a fashion designer and you're on TV. There cannot be two more judgmental occupations, and competitive. And nobody, if you did well, it was like, how are you going to do the next time? So for the first time in my life, I had no advantages. I was just like everybody else sitting in that waiting room. That was really a shock for me. I think I hadn't led a real life, a real everyday life in 25 years. I had been number one on TV. I was number one in fashion. I was number one on television. Um, it was a huge awakening. And yet, I had always been somebody who said, oh, I'm going to live to be 100. But if you're going to live to be 100, I don't think you could be the me that I went into breast surgery and breast cancer with. I came out of it. I came out of the darkest period of my life into the greatest moments of light. And you will never understand how beautiful, how precious, how wonderful every moment of life is until something says, I don't know if I'm going to give it to you. I don't know if you're going to have it anymore. It's interesting how when something is almost taken away from you, you understand suddenly how much you should treasure it, how much you should nurture it. And so I went to what I would call a higher vibration. I observed every time I went into the waiting room for chemo that I was one of the only women not sitting there with their heads in their hands crying. And so I became a mother hen. I became a nurturer. If I found that somebody loved eating donuts, every time we had chemo together, I would bring them half a dozen donuts. I would cheer them up. I never saw that in myself before. I never saw that I wanted to take care of other people, or that I understood that I had been given so many talents and advantages in life that even if I had to fight for them, they were still a gift. And I understood that I could make a difference in people's lives and uplift them. Yeah, when I designed my DG2 gene at the age of 60, an age way past anybody else in my industry even really being active anymore, I wasn't bitter. I didn't say to myself, oh, yeah, I finally became number one at 60 years old. I said, oh my God, what a treat. And so when I was given the opportunity to go on living, I decided I was going to live out what I call my third act. I was 74 when I was free and clear. I'm 78 now. That I was going to give back, it was going to be a different life. It wasn't going to be so self-absorbed and all about who's number one and what are you going to do with your next show. And part of that was going to be authorship. I had written my second book during breast cancer. That was very necessary for me to have purpose and goals and a forward motion in life. And so I wrote Too Young to Be Old about the fact that in your head, if you keep yourself alive and purposed and absorbing everything around you and activating, that you will always be too young to be old. And then I thought, you know what, this life of being in a TV studio till 3 a.m., being back at 8 a.m., fully dressed, fully made up, I think my body just doesn't want to do that anymore. Chemo took a lot out of me. I had the strongest chemo for the longest period of time I could stand it, really, and then radiation, and then a double mastectomy. So I thought, well, okay, but I know retirement's not for me. What am I going to do? And I thought, well, you love podcasts. Maybe you could do podcasts. And so I decided to step back from TV, even though I was number one and I could have stayed there forever. It didn't make my heart pound anymore. It wasn't like something I was getting up in the morning for. And I thought, what were you when you were young? I was adventuresome. I took chances. I always looked to better myself, to forward myself, to educate myself. And I thought, are you crazy going into a totally new venture at 78? And I thought, no, I'm just being me. And once I started, I got my own YouTube channel, and oh my gosh, my world just ballooned. It just increased with meeting incredible new people. And I wanted to do the podcast for women over 50 about how to age better, age smarter, and live longer. And we're now in the top 15 on YouTube in that particular category. And then I went for a second podcast called Fashion Thursdays with Diane, because my fashion audience still wanted fashion from me. And my life is so enriched and ever growing and ever learning and always appreciating it. And so I say to the audience out there that the value perhaps of reading my chapter, and I'm just going to use a hackneyed phrase because I can't think of a better way to put it, how to make lemonade out of lemons. If you had ever told me before I went on this journey with breast cancer that I would look back on it with fondness, with appreciation, seeing it as an elevating period of my life, I would have said, you are out of your mind. What are you talking about? But trust me, I was never Little Miss Sunshine. I was never, oh, it's all going to be great. I was always, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. My show's going to be terrible. Somebody said, where does your self-confidence and courage come from? Most people that are performers like me are not self-confident. That's why they're performing, because they're always trying to prove themselves. And my courage, I felt, whether it was going on television or just saying, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it and start a podcast and then love it. And so many of you love it too. If I can do it, you can do it. And to be living a life of intention, I always say that in my own way, I manifested my own destiny. And yes, I do live under an umbrella of gratitude. When I went back and wrote my chapter, Princess to Pauper, it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. I am so grateful to Ray and the whole team at Women Thrive for this opportunity. It's life-changing. It's one thing to just sort of never deal with an emotional issue and put it to the side. I remember when I had to announce to my crew and my team, a fashion team, that I had breast cancer and had to leave for a while, everybody was crying. And I said, okay, everybody, anybody who's crying, go outside in the hallway. And when you're done crying, come back in. We got a lot to do to get ready. I couldn't let any emotion get in the way. I had to serve my entire purpose, and my energy had to be totally funneled towards dealing with treatment and believing in my own health. And believe it or not, the first time I cried was when I started writing this chapter. And I realized how profound my journey was. And how lucky I was that I had the emotional resources to weather this storm and to actually get something beautiful and bright and life-giving out of it. And so I thank you if you buy the book or you buy Kindle. I think it's always hard to talk about a book or a story where the subject matter is difficult, but I'm going to put it another way. This book will blow you away. Each and every story is individual, whether it's about breast cancer or contracting MS at an early age or teenage sexual assault, whatever it is. These are all taboo and very dark subjects, but each author dealt with it and brought it into the light and up to a much higher level. And the stories are amazing. You read the stories and you'll be going, oh my God, I can't believe she did that and handled it that way. And what it comes down to is no matter what life throws at you, how you handle it, how you take it, how you repurpose it, what you learn from it, that is the key to dealing with it. And I can tell you, and it's not particularly logical, I am a completely different person today. I want to spread kindness and joy around to everybody. And truly, that book, Women Thrive, Volume 3, did as much for me in dealing with my emotions and how I handled breast cancer than actually dealing and handling breast cancer. Sometimes you're in the middle of it and you just sort of open a drawer and put it away. And this was about opening the drawer, taking it out, repurposing it. And I hope that you find my story inspirational, aspirational, and actionable. So now that I have bared my soul, Ramona, maybe we'll have some questions.
That's Diane's third act in life, and it's certainly so inspirational to see Diane writing your story yourself and going through this journey. And I'm so grateful that you went there emotionally, um, you know, to face those emotions because you were strong your whole life. But this has
Yeah,
given you the opportunity to say, I am strong. I am a fighter, but it doesn't mean I have to hold back my tears and not deal with it. And it's so liberating when we give ourselves the permission. Even now, I want to cry because I can imagine, that Diane getting that phone call on Christmas Eve and just saying, right, I'm just going to put my go-getter hat on and I'm going to get through it. But really, who holds the space for us to sometimes be weak, right?
true. Or be soft.
So, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I never understood that I could be tough and soft at the same time. And if I even help one woman out there who gets a diagnosis and give her hope and tell her it's going to be so much better on the other side, then I've achieved my purpose with my chapter. But the whole book is like that, Ray. The whole book is one amazing story after the next. So I love that book. I'm so proud and grateful to be a part of it.
thank you, Diane. And of course, we will get to meet you, Diane, in London in July. So if you happen to
Yeah,
be in London on 12th of July, put that date in the calendar because we are going to be announcing meet and greet with our authors, including Diane, Emily, and Kim. We are doing media production day where we're going to be filming and doing photo shoots in a wonderful location in London. But the day before, you get to do meet and greet with our authors. And Dan, there's something that you said on this journey, on one of the calls as we're going through this journey, and you said, I have a different level of urgency in my life. Tell us a little
Of
bit
course.
more about that.
I think there's two reasons for saying different level of urgency. I think the first is if you ever do get a more mortality-based diagnosis, you suddenly realize, even though I was 72, oh, I'm not immortal. This could get taken away from me at any moment. And also the fact that I'm 78 now. And when somebody says to me, and I'm obviously very impatient, very competitive, want to be the best podcast there is, the best in the game, and someone will say, God, Diane, do you realize you already have 5,000, 7,000 followers on YouTube? That's incredible in 1 year. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to have 40,000. When are we going to get there? If you are older, you stop dreaming. So don't do that. Dare to dream, no matter what age you are. And you never know when your dreams are going to come true. But the urgency is, for me, a year is like 10 years. It's like a decade for you in your 30s. And so I operate from a different level of intensity and wanting to be the best, to grow the most, to get it all done. And so I guess I'm always going to be me. But I just want to get so much accomplished and also say to the audience that I'm such a fighter for taking away all the bad rap about aging. Aging is beautiful. Aging is a privilege, not a punishment. But if you're part of my community of women who are 50, 55 plus, you know that you've got, if you want to accomplish something, especially something new, you've got to really put the pedal to the metal. And I love that. That, you know, Ray, that's my personality. So I'm just lavishly loving it all, every single minute of it. And now I'm an author. And now I'm a single author. Yay, I love that too.
Congratulations, Diane. I'm so excited that your book is in your chapter, new stories in our book. The first time I read it, there was an unexpected turn of events during one of your treatments, which for me was such a gold dust in your chapter, like a revelation that humbled you. And I hope that our audience, I'm not going to spoil what it is.
Yeah, that's why I didn't talk about it. I wanted to, and it's part of the title, Princess to Pauper. But I thought, nope, I'm not going to be a spoiler.
Yeah,
It
no
is the
spoilers.
key. Yeah, it is the key. And then the other key to me was when I saw Kate Middleton, Princess Kate, announcing she had cancer, and she was so down to earth and so humble about it. That was the first time I allowed myself to cry about cancer. I just thought, my God, it doesn't matter who you are. A homeless woman in a shelter dealing with this disease, or the next Queen of England. It is an equal opportunity destroyer, and we are all going to face some challenge like that within our lifetime. And you will be amazed at how strong you are, how resilient you are, and how prepared you are.
Wow. Diane, I celebrate you, your courage, commitment, grace, and just relentless quest for life and greatness. And, You are legendary. You are an inspiration. I'm glad we have had the opportunity to work with you and continue to share
Thank you.
your story beyond just this book launch. And congratulations again. It's been a
Thank you. Thank you. It's such a big deal to me. So, for somebody who lived off her talents all her life and sacrificed a lot for her talent, had to walk away from family when everybody else was vacationing. I was in a sewing room working 7 days a week, um, and loved it. But bottom line is, here I am again, celebrating a new talent and thinking to myself, you know what? This is a direction I really want to go in. I want to develop this talent of being an author and a storyteller. And I thank you, because I said to Ray during one of our authors meetings, which we have every week, which are fantastic, that it was like sitting in on a literary class at Yale or Harvard or Oxford University. I mean, the people you surround yourself with, Ray, so eloquent and so accomplished and so sensitive to how to get the best out of each author, that it will, I wouldn't miss one of these meetings for anything. And we were all the same way. Yeah, you put together an incredible, really accomplished team. And I learned so much. What I really learned was, I think I can do it. I think I can be an author. And I've already got an idea for my fourth book, and I'm so excited, and I'm starting to put it all together, and I'm very pragmatic. So I'm like organizing it, and I thank you for that. You showed me a whole new path in life that is very it's appropriate for my third act and the time slot I'm in. So really and truly, you gave me invaluable direction and support for what I believe will be the rest of my life, which will be writing.
Yeah.
Writing and talking about it all on podcasts. I thank you really deeply from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Diane. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to continue supporting your authorship journey.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
being here to inspire our audience, and big
It's a pleasure. Thank you.